Hello everyone, and congratulations on making it through another year. Yay, we did it. Trump's still president.
50 years from now, you're very dead. Your entire generation this planet into a coma.
Spoiler alert.
2018 was home to some of the most momentous moments in nerd history. So today, we're here with our entirely unscientific, extremely subjective, and highly superlative end-of-year roundup. I'm Andrew, and these are the 2018 Nerdie Awards. Let's kick things off with the Let It Die Award. In 2018, we began seeing some real effects of franchise fatigue. And at a certain point, whoever holds the IP needs to realize that sometimes dead is better. Tomb Raider was an attempt to bring the grittiness of Lara Croft's new games to the big screen and erase the campy Angelina Jolie movies from our memory, but you can't take away my memory. I love those movies. Sadly, the film was little more than a series of cutscenes strung together.
Right.
Shane Black tried to jumpstart an iconic action series with The Predator, but even if you ignore all the behind-the-scenes controversy, the final film failed to strike the balance between gruesome gore and clever quips.
Guys, I get it. You want to know someone's an alien.
It didn't exactly bring in the bucks either, but that's not even the most important criteria here. In fact, our winner was a runaway success, which means we're going to be cursed with future entries in the increasingly unwatchable Jurassic World series. Let's put it this way. There have been 5 Jurassic Park movies, and there's only been one good one. Fallen Kingdom wasn't all bad. The brachiosaur on the dock scene definitely brought some feels, but it was a reminder of the series' former dignity that it left behind in favor of mindless CGI and meaningless morals, resulting in a movie that manages to be both a total shit show and the most boring blockbuster since The Matrix Revolutions. To paraphrase Daddy Ian Malcolm, just because you could doesn't mean that you should. Up next is Song of the Year. 2018 saw several soundtracks that surely slapped. A Star is Born brought us all, but I could have used a little more Gaga and a little less Bradley Cooper's bad Springsteen impression. Zing.
Pretty good.
Post Malone's Sunflower is a late contender for the title thanks to its awesome music video and how it's incorporated into the Spider-Verse as Miles' web-slinging mantra. But it doesn't compare to the towering achievement that is the Black Panther soundtrack.
I be blacking out with the purist.
Curated by Kendrick Lamar, the album is essential to understanding T'Challa, Wakanda, and the African experience as explored in the film, exemplified by its lead single, All of the Stars. It's an album that will live on for decades and stand on its own as an artistic achievement, the same way entire generations have been defined by legendary soundtracks like The Graduate and Space Jam. And while it's unquestionably a masterpiece, it's not the track that received the most airplay in the NowThis Nerd office. That would be our winner. Eminem's We played this song so much in the office that it physically hurt me. Pairing the edgy 90s anti-hero with the rapper who dominated the back half of the decade was a nice touch, and Eminem's unparalleled wordplay is on full display as he rhymes Venom with get 'em, hit him, momentum, and everything in between. Classic Eminem. Pair it with a music video that tells the soulful story of a symbiote that superimposes Slim's face on unsuspecting innocents, and you got a bop you can ironically blast until your coworkers take your Sonos access away. My Venom. I'm gonna get him with my Venom. Okay. Yes, I get it. It's funny. Next, we have the Too Little, Too Late Award. We're loath to pass judgment on a franchise that is still figuring things out. But even if it seems on the verge of turning things around, sometimes a series becomes just so toxic that it's best to just walk away and start fresh. Bumblebee is a breath of fresh air for the Transformers franchise, a heartwarming tale that's been described as a mix between John Hughes and jaw-dropping Bayhem. And while the Bayformers franchise has more than a few defenders, Moose included, it's pretty hard to square Bumblebee's existence with the utter insanity the series devolved into. Still, the DCEU takes this award by a mile. Amazingly, Aquaman turned out awesome.
What are you doing? Wait. Should have a parachute. Redheads, you gotta love them.
A colorful, joyous romp through the underwater world of Arthur Curry, where Jason Momoa's undeniable charisma makes Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck seem like coasters in comparison.
Civilians.
Barry's headed.
There's too many of them.
Still, for every Aquaman and Wonder Woman, Warner just can't escape the stink of Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League.
Well, in that case.
The future of the DCEU is in crisis, and even if Shazam surprises us and the various Joker movies somehow turn out okay, they still exist in a world where Holly Hunter drank pee. Our next award is for Best Effect. These days, the abundance of excellent CGI makes it hard for any single movie to stand out with its special effects, which is why the real-life risks taken by Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Fallout are more memorable than mocap and a million zillion polygons. Still, when it comes to effects, nothing touches the decimation, disintegration witnessed in Infinity War. With a snap of his fingers, Thanos evaporated half of all life in the universe, burning them away into a wispy red ash. It's not the most impressive from a purely technical standpoint. In fact, it's not too difficult for anyone with After Effects to pull it off. But that is what makes it so brilliant. Because within hours of the movie's release, the internet was flooded with parodies and tributes to the iconic act of xenocide. A simple special effect that took on a life of its own and became a meme that will surely live longer than everyone in the MCU will stay dead.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Next is the award for biggest disappointment. This one was pretty tough because 2018's hugely hyped event movies mostly delivered on their promises. Still, there were some films that let fans down, like Solo, a Star Wars story.
Sorry, do your thing.
Honestly, the movie actually turned out better than expected. Given all the drama surrounding the production and despite some baffling plot choices, there's actually a lot I like about it. I watched it on an airplane and I didn't hate it. In fact, I loved it. Probably because I didn't pay for it. It was more of a strategic disappointment, failing to satisfy the fans who are unhappy with the bold direction Rian Johnson chose for The Last Jedi, while simultaneously underwhelming the masses who don't care about the expanded universe and how Han Solo learned the old fake Wookiee imprisonment trick.
Won't be for long.
Shut up.
But again, I loved it.
We're supposed to be dunking on him in this segment.
Yeah, but I'm fine with them.
I know a lot of people who were really excited for Fantastic Beasts 2, even after the only okay reception of the first movie, but the sequel somehow managed to piss off hardcore Potterheads and bore and befuddle everyone else with more than a passing interest in the wizarding world. Between keeping avowed asshole Johnny Depp employed and continuing to crap on her own lore, it might be time for J.K. Rowling to walk away from the Potterverse and rest on her piles and piles of money. While Beasts was but our biggest disappointment of 2018 goes to Ready Player One. The source novel is nothing to write home about, but the bones for a pretty good movie are there. And with Steven Spielberg in the director's chair, we were salivating at the thought of the master of iconic 80s cinema getting to play with all of these wonderful toys. Then we saw the movie.
Guns kill, and you don't have to be a gun. You are what you choose to be.
And while it's not a complete waste of time, I mean, the Shining scene alone is almost worth the price of admission.
Hello, Danny. Come play with us.
Oh, girls. Y'all know how to get out of here?
It strips away the cleverness of the original story and paints an unconvincing portrait of a dystopia that doesn't seem all that bad to live in. It could have been a Roger Rabbit for the new millennium. Instead, it was a bloated, forgettable cluster. That brings us to our main event, Movie of the Year. Now, this isn't some artsy-fartsy Best Picture award. This is for the film that defined 2018, the one that sparked the most conversation and dominated our collective pop culture consciousness. Honorable mention, I guess, should go to A Star is Born, because it's been a long time since I've heard so many people talking about a movie without a superhero or Star War in it. Animation had a hell of a year, and between Incredibles 2 and the Spider-Verse, I think I'm finally starting to get over my grief for the death of 2D. Speaking of Spider-Verse, it has to be a contender, one of the most universally beloved films I've seen in a very long time. It might even be the best Spider-Man movie ever, and it could end up being the biggest. But because it released so late in the year, it doesn't have much of an impact on 2018. Deadpool 2 managed to improve on the already awesome first film by upping the stakes and scope and introducing us to the dynamic Domino and Josh Brolin's killer Cable.
You're so dark! You sure you're not from the DC universe?
For a brief moment, we had hope that the Disney-Fox deal would fail and Deadpool would lead the charge on a new wave of R-rated superheroes, but alas, Fox, like so many before it, fell to the House of Mouse. There's little question that Infinity War was the most anticipated movie of 2018, and that it fully delivered on the promise that began with Iron Man a whole decade ago. It might have been the most profitable movie of 2018, but it still feels like one half of a whole. And it's hard to pass final judgment until we see what Endgame has in store for us all. No, the movie of the year was by leaps and bounds Black Panther.
Wakanda forever! Wakanda forever!
Look, is Black Panther the best movie of the year? Probably not. That would be Mandy, according to our fearless leader, Michael Calabro. Honestly, BP isn't even my favorite MCU movie, but the Shakespearean superhero film was a shining beacon of hope in the chaos that was 2018. In a world that increasingly wants to close borders and keep people divided, Black Panther kicked open the doors of superhero cinema and told millions of kids around the world, you belong here. It tells a damn compelling story with sizzling performances by one of the best casts I've ever seen and triples down on superhero action. And if you didn't like it, that's totally fine. I don't hate you. Andrew doesn't hate you. But when people look back on 2018, more than the Infinity Wars and Solos and the Megs, they'll say 2018 was the year that Black Panther changed everything. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm sure you disagree with me on a ton of these choices, and I want to know where and why and how. So leave a comment, let me have it. Tell me who you would have picked instead. Please subscribe to Now This Nerd, and I'll see you all in 2019.